You know, I've been in politics long enough to see plenty of meltdowns, plenty of moments when someone loses control on live television. But what I witnessed 3 nights ago on Fox News wasn't just a political meltdown, it was something far more disturbing. It was the moment when Donald Trump's grip on reality became so tenuous that even his most loyal media allies realized they couldn't protect him anymore. And here's what nobody's talking about. The real story isn't what happened during those 12 minutes of live television. The real story is what happened during the commercial breaks, what Fox executives were frantically discussing in real time, and why they made the unprecedented decision to cut their own interview with a former president. Because when Fox News has to save you from yourself, you know you've crossed a line that changes everything. Let me take you inside that Fox News studio on Tuesday night because what started as Sean Hannity's usual softball interview became something that sent shockwaves through the entire conservative media ecosystem, and the ripple effects are still spreading in ways that could reshape the 2024 race and Trump's entire political future. The interview was supposed to be routine, Hannity doing his standard setup questions, giving Trump easy opportunities to attack his enemies and promote his agenda. Standard operating procedure for what's essentially become state-run television for the MAGA base. I've watched hundreds of these interviews over the years. They follow a predictable script, everyone knows their role, and Trump gets to deliver his talking points without serious challenge. But about 8 minutes into the interview, something shifted. I could see it in Trump's body language, hear it in his voice. The answers were getting longer, more rambling, more disconnected from the questions being asked. Hannity was starting to look uncomfortable, trying to redirect the conversation, but Trump wasn't taking the cues. Then came the moment that changed everything. Hannity asked a simple question about Trump's campaign strategy for Michigan, and instead of talking about voters or policy, Trump launched into a bizarre attack on Fox Corporation executives. Not Democrats, not the mainstream media, his own network's leadership. These people at Fox, Trump said, pointing directly into the camera, they think they control me. They think they can use me when it's convenient and then throw me away. Well, I've got news for Rupert Murdoch and his little puppet executives. I have recordings. I have proof of what they really think about their own audience. According to sources inside Fox's control room, that's when the panic started. Producers were frantically signaling to Hannity, trying to get him to change subjects, to cut to commercial, to do anything to stop Trump from continuing his attack on the very network that was giving him a platform. But Trump wasn't stopping. If anything, he was escalating. They call their own viewers useful idiots in private, Trump continued, his voice rising. They laugh at the people who watch this network. They think you're stupid enough to believe anything they tell you, but I respect you too much to lie to you like they do. Here's what viewers at home couldn't see. The moment when Fox executives made a decision that has never been made in the network's history. They pulled the plug on a live interview with a former president because they literally couldn't control what he was saying about them. According to multiple sources inside Fox News, the decision came from the highest levels of the corporation. Someone with authority to override the show's producers, someone with direct access to Rupert Murdoch himself, made the call to cut Trump's audio feed. For about 30 seconds, viewers saw Trump's mouth moving but heard only silence. When they came back from an emergency commercial break, Hannity was alone in the studio, explaining that they had experienced technical difficulties with the satellite feed from Mar-a-Lago. But sources inside the network tell a very different story. They describe a moment of pure chaos when Trump began threatening to reveal specific private conversations he'd had with Fox executives. I've got them all on tape, Trump said during the audio blackout. According to sources who could still hear the feed in the control room, every call, every meeting, every time they talked about manipulating the news to help Republicans win elections. You want to see the real deep state? Look at how Fox News really operates. I want you to understand something important here. I've been in enough high-pressure situations, enough moments when everything is falling apart, to recognize what I was seeing. This wasn't strategic political theater. This wasn't Trump playing some complex game to gain advantage. This was a man having a psychological break on live television, unable to distinguish between friends and enemies, lashing out at anyone within reach. The aftermath inside Fox News has been even more revealing than the incident itself. According to network sources, an emergency meeting was called immediately after the show. Senior executives, some participating by secure video conference from New York and London, spent 4 hours trying to figure out how to handle what they're internally calling the Trump crisis. Here's what makes this moment so significant for understanding where we are politically. Fox News built their entire business model around defending Trump, no matter what he said or did. They've explained away scandals, justified legal troubles, spun his most outrageous statements into conservative victories. They've been his most reliable defender through every controversy for almost 8 years. But this was different. This time he turned on them live in front of their own audience. He threatened to expose their internal communications, their strategic decisions, their private opinions about their own viewers. And for the first time, Fox executives realized that their most valuable asset had become their biggest liability. The internal discussions at Fox, according to multiple sources, reveal a network finally confronting a reality they've been avoiding. Trump has become completely uncontrollable. One senior executive reportedly said, "We created a monster, and now it's trying to devour us." Another described the feeling as riding a tiger that we can't get off without being eaten. But here's the deeper problem they're facing. Trump's relationship with their audience makes it impossible to simply cut him off. Fox's ratings spike dramatically whenever he appears, and their core demographic expects the network to provide him with a platform. Removing that platform could trigger a viewer exodus that would devastate their business model and potentially destroy the network. The audience reaction to the technical difficulties was immediate and suspicious. Social media exploded with conspiracy theories about Fox censoring Trump. Many viewers correctly suspected that the audio problems weren't technical at all. Some started demanding that Fox release the full, unedited footage of what Trump said during the blackout. Within hours, competing conservative media outlets were reaching out to sources, trying to get the real story of what happened. Some were already preparing to position themselves as more Trump-loyal alternatives to Fox if the network decided to reduce his access. The conservative media ecosystem that Fox helped create was suddenly turning against them. According to media industry sources, the incident has triggered broader discussions among conservative media owners about the Trump problem. They've all benefited financially from his ability to drive viewership and engagement, but they're also recognizing that his increasing instability makes him dangerous to their brands and businesses. The legal implications of Trump's threats about having recordings are also concerning for Fox. If he actually recorded private conversations with network executives without their consent, it could violate federal and state wiretapping laws. More importantly, the content of those recordings could reveal coordination between a news network and political figures that might violate broadcast regulations. Congressional investigators are reportedly already interested in Trump's claims about having recordings. If such recordings exist and contain evidence of political coordination or audience manipulation, they could trigger regulatory investigations and potential legal action against both Trump and Fox News. The psychological aspects of Trump's behavior during the interview are being discussed privately by mental health professionals who observed the broadcast. While they can't make clinical diagnoses based on television appearances, several have noted patterns of paranoia, loss of impulse control, and inability to distinguish between appropriate and inappropriate disclosures. One former White House physician told me privately that Trump's behavior reminded him of patients experiencing what psychiatrists call persecutory delusions, the belief that everyone, including allies, is secretly working against you. When that kind of thinking takes hold, it can lead to increasingly erratic and self-destructive behavior. Looking ahead, the relationship between Trump and Fox News will be crucial for understanding his political viability. If his most reliable media platform concludes that he's become too risky for their brand, it signals broader concerns about his stability and electability that could influence other conservative institutions and donors. The immediate political fallout is already becoming apparent. Several Republican officials who normally avoid criticizing Trump have privately expressed concerns about his mental state based on the Fox News incident. If these concerns become public, it could accelerate discussions about alternative candidates for 2024. For Fox News, the challenge is maintaining credibility with their audience while managing an increasingly unpredictable relationship with Trump. Their decision to cut his audio mid-interview sends a message that even they have limits, but it also risks alienating viewers who expect unconditional Trump support. The technical aspects of how Fox handled the incident are also raising questions about media gatekeeping and editorial control. If networks can simply silence speakers when they don't like what's being said, it raises broader concerns about information control and the power of media corporations to shape public discourse. International observers are watching this situation closely as well. Trump's erratic behavior on even friendly media platforms raises questions about his stability that could affect diplomatic relationships and international perceptions of American political leadership if he returns to office. The incident has also highlighted the symbiotic but increasingly dysfunctional relationship between Trump and conservative media that has defined American politics for the last 7 years. When that relationship becomes adversarial, it creates unpredictable dynamics that could reshape the entire conservative movement. As this story continues to develop, the key question isn't whether Trump will have more media meltdowns. That seems inevitable given the pattern we're seeing. The question is whether even his most loyal media allies will continue providing platforms for increasingly erratic behavior that damages their own credibility and business interests. The moment Fox News had to step in to protect themselves from Trump marked a turning point that neither Trump nor conservative media may be able to recover from easily. When your most reliable allies have to save you from yourself, it's time to ask serious questions about fitness for any kind of leadership role. And here's the scariest part. If Trump becomes this unstable under the relatively low pressure of a friendly interview, what happens when he faces the real pressures of governing again? The Fox News incident might be a preview of something much worse to come.